The Thanksgiving Mice, written and illustrated by M.K. Christiansen, Red Robin Farm Press, copyright May 2018. All text and images and artwork in this story are copyrighted by M.K. Christiansen. All rights reserved. The Thanksgiving Mice. The farm wife rose early on Thanksgiving morning. She tended to her chickens first. She fed the farm dogs. Then she began to cook. The farmhouse mice watched her carefully on Thanksgiving Day. Mrs. Mouse, in fact, had watched quietly from the apron cabinet all day Wednesday as the farm wife baked pumpkin and pecan pies and one beautiful cranberry pie. The massive turkey sat in the sink. The dining room, however, was cold and dusty. No one was washing china or polishing silver spoons. Mrs. Mouse suspected the farm family were leaving for Thanksgiving, cooking their delicious food and taking it all away to some other mice's house. This was very sad, but Mrs. Mouse had her own idea. Before the farm wife put on her toes and her slippers on Thanksgiving morning, Mrs. Mouse already had a plan for her own Thanksgiving feast. "She is not making mashed potatoes," Mrs. Mouse said. "That's sad," Teddy Mouse said. He was her middle mouseling. "Mashed potatoes do not travel well. That means they are leaving for the day," his mother said. "We will have the house to ourselves." "That's good," Teddy said. "They will take away all the food, Teddy," she said, and his whiskers drooped again. She stroked his whiskers up. "Daddy and I have a plan, mouseling. Don't worry." First, Mrs. Mouse told Lila, her oldest mouseling, to turn down the thermostat in the farmhouse. "The farm husband needs to be a little chilly," Mrs. Mouse said. "We want his toes to be cold so he will keep on his fuzzy slippers this morning." So Lila did, and the farmhouse husband stayed on the couch in his slippers, watching football. Next, Teddy was sent to chew a hole in the toe of the farm husband's favorite brown loafers. "Not his Sunday shoes, Teddy. Find the loafers you nibbled the laces on last winter. Remember? I want a good hole right where his big toe will be." So Teddy did, and he spat the leather bits into the back of the closet. Robin, the littlest mouseling, was instructed to hide the farm husband's car keys. "Don't drop them in the trash can," her mother said. "Don't drop them anywhere, because you'll have to move them back later." "I will?" Robin asked. "The keys are on his bedside table, beside his wallet. Drag them under the water and electric bills," Mrs. Mouse said. "He'll never see them there." And Robin did, without making a sound. But the mouseling's tasks were not done. As Mrs. Mouse watched the cooking from the towel drawer in the kitchen, she gave 3 more jobs to her children. "Lila," Mrs. Mouse said, "steal one of the farm wife's earrings from her dresser. She's laid them out with her pearl necklace and her turkey pin. They are little snowflakes. Take the earring to my bedroom, beside the hot water heater, and hang it in the window." Mrs. Mouse sighed. She'd always loved those earrings, and now she'd have one all to herself. "Teddy dear, you know your next job," she said quietly. "Oh, no, Mama," he cried. "Shh!" Mrs. Mouse scolded him. "She'll hear you." "But I hate fiddling with the oven temperature, Mama. It's so dark inside the stove." "But you must do it, Teddy, if you want to eat turkey and dressing tonight," his mother replied. And Teddy obeyed. He sneaked inside the oven behind the knobs and carefully turned the temperature down just after the farm wife had lovingly placed her turkey and dressing in to cook. "Robin, sweetheart," Mrs. Mouse called. Robin crept close, dreading what task might be given to her. "Please hide the spare car keys." Robin sighed in relief. The spare car keys were easy to hide. The farm family usually had no idea where they were anyway. The mice always knew. "Last time we hid them in the towel drawer," her mamma said. "Go fetch them and hide them in the drawer with the egg cups and the grapefruit spoons." "Mamma, that's near the cat food bowl. I'm scared." But Robin obeyed her mother, and the already lost spare car keys were lost even more. Peace reigned in the farmhouse for 5 minutes before the farm wife realized that her turkey and dressing were not filling the house with good smells. She screeched in alarm and raised the temperature in the oven. 10 minutes passed, and Teddy lowered the temperature again. Thus began a cat and mouse game that lasted for several hours. Once she rashly raised the oven temperature to a startling 450 degrees in an effort to combat the downward trend. Teddy, of course, chose that moment to take a nap. The turkey was burning on the outside and raw on the inside. True chaos ensued when the farm couple got dressed to leave. The husband kept his chilly toes in his slippers until the last minute, discovered the hole in his loafer, and began scrounging in the closet for an old pair of saddle shoes his wife had donated to the thrift store 3 years before. He found the leather bits. "Mice!" he growled. In despair over her turkey, the farm wife then searched for her other snowflake earring for 20 minutes before giving up. She was quite grumpy and prone to forget things like sugar in the cranberries and salt in the coleslaw. She finished her preparations wearing 1 snowflake earring. Mrs. Mouse crouched in the towel drawer. She did not need to watch the farm wife. Years of whisker training enabled her to lift only 3 whiskers above the edge of the drawer and know exactly where the farm wife was in the kitchen. Her whiskers were like a periscope. "She's making the stuffed eggs," Mrs. Mouse whispered to Lila. "She's spilled all the mustard and forgotten the pepper," Mrs. Mouse's 3rd whisker detected. "And there's no paprika." The mouse family preferred paprika on their salads and had used it all. "She'll be leaving those eggs behind." "She looks silly in 1 earring," Lila noted. The farm wife, now 30 minutes behind, with an unshoed husband rummaging in the closet, found that her turkey was quite undercooked. "We're running late," she bellowed to the bedroom. "Huh," the farm husband replied. At last, quite delayed, the farm husband entered the kitchen wearing 1 brown shoe and 1 black. His frazzled wife scurried from sink to counter to stove. The kitchen was a mess. Chunks of turkey and dressing lay on the counter with sloshings of gravy puddled by the sink. Globs of cranberry sauce smeared the toaster. Worst of all, a plate of stuffed eggs lay in the sink. The farm wife was in tears over them. "I don't know what happened to me," she wailed to him. "What a disastrous morning." She turned to him. "And look at your shoes." She huffed in dismay. "Grab your keys, and I'll get the food ready to go." She looked around. "I'll clean up when we get back." Mrs. Mouse was pleased with the course of events. The farm husband hunted for his keys to no avail. The turkey grew cold, and the farm wife reheated it in the skillet, causing more gravy spills and dabs of delicious turkey on the floor. Lila, Teddy, and Robin watched happily. Robin Mouse moved the keys back in place just before the farm wife came to look for them, and a great distress ensued in the hallway. "Now, Mr. Mouse," Mrs. Mouse whispered to her husband in the towel drawer. His whiskers were distracted by the enormous amounts of turkey, dressing, gravy, cranberries, eggs, and a few spare dinner rolls strewn around the kitchen. "Mr. Mouse," she repeated, "go loosen the car wires." "Oh, dearest, really?"
Isn't this feast enough for us?"
"No, Mr. Mouse. Our cousins from the farm next door are coming too. Shoo! Go on now." Out of the house he went, and crawled into the car's engine, and loosened some wires as he'd done before. When the farm couple sat at last in their vehicle with lukewarm food and hot tempers, the engine would not start. The farm husband fiddled under the hood. The farm wife fumed. Finally, she jumped from the car, taking her turkey from the safety of her lap and setting it on the car's roof. Watching from a window, Mrs. Mouse said, "Ah." "What is wrong now?" the farm wife shrieked, and she slammed the car door. Tragically, the turkey, with its dressing and gravy, slid from the roof with this impact and crashed onto the carport. The farm wife cried. "Well," the farm husband said, "you still have sour cranberries." That did not end well for him. That day, the Mouse family and all their cousins enjoyed the largest Thanksgiving feast in anyone's memory. They spread the dinner on the kitchen floor and brought their cushions and tiny place settings of china from the doll's house in the attic. It was a splendid meal, and Mrs. Mouse was very proud of her efforts. "What a lovely meal," her cousin Marigold said. After their company left, the Mouse family cleaned the kitchen as best they could, avoiding the splattered mustard which mice do not like. The farm wife was puzzled at how clean she'd left her kitchen, but she was so exhausted from her day that she went straight to bed when she came home. That night, Mrs. Mouse, after all her exertions, gazed at the silver snowflake twinkling in her window with the moon behind it. She would return the earring in time for Christmas, she said to herself. But for now, it reminded her to be thankful for her family and her home. The end.